morning, charms. We are back with the next one-shot session on the topic of light, and I hope everyone is doing well. So please pay attention throughout the class and try to take down the important points. Not only that, if you find any kind of doubts in between, please don't hesitate to ask your doubts in the comment box. I'm here to help you out, and my name is Aishwarya Sindhu Ramachandran, and I'm your science educator today. So let's dive into our contents. So these are the basic topics that we will learn today. So we are going to start off with rectilinear propagation, object types, reflection, mirror types, lenses, and finally dispersion. So without much ado, let's get started. Now we are going to start off with the very basic definition of a rectilinear propagation. What is meant by this? Let's learn together. Before that, we have to understand the light characteristic here. Oh, that means, how does light travel? That's what an important question that you get in your mind whenever you talk about light. Light travels in straight lines. So this is one of the important properties of light. Light travels in straight lines, and this propagation can be called it as rectilinear propagation. So for that, we need to take a small example here. From sun to the earth, the light has to travel, right? Yes. Without sunlight, we cannot live. So, from the sun to the earth, light travels in straight lines. And that is what the reason we call this propagation as a rectilinear propagation. Look at this. This is all about the types of objects. Oh, so when you talk about types of objects, based on how light gets traveled through these objects, we have categorized this into three as transparent, opaque, and translucent objects. So let's learn this one by one. The very first one is nothing but the transparent object. Transparent. That means it can make the light to pass through it completely. So let's take an example here. Glass. So glass is an example for transparent object. So if you try to pour water into it, you can see the level of water increasing here, right? So why? Because the glass is considered as a transparent object and it can make the light to pass through it completely. What about the next one? It's all about opaque property of it. The wood can be an example for an opaque object. So light cannot pass through it. We will not be able to see what happens inside this wood piece, right? Why? Because it will not allow any kind of light to pass through. And now we are going to talk about translucent object. It is going to allow light to pass through it partially. Oh, so we have to take an example here, right? Yes. So frosted glass is an example for translucent object. And what about transparent? Plain glass. So plain glass is an example for transparent object, whereas frosted glass is an example for translucent object. So now we have to write the example here. Frosted glass. Okay. Frosted glass. Clear? So butter paper is also an example for translucent object. Clear? So that's what about it. And now we are going to learn about reflection. Why is it so important? Oh, so when I have to go somewhere, I have to get ready, right? So for that, I need to just look into a mirror, right? Yes. So why I'm able to see my image on a mirror? It's because of reflection. That's where we need to learn the importance of reflection. What is meant by this reflection exactly? When a light ray falls on the surface, it bounces off back to the same medium. Oh, so this is a bit complicated. Don't worry, let me break it down for you. So let this be a surface. A light ray falls on the surface and it bounces off back to the same medium. I think this is getting simplified right now, right? Yes. So we have to consider a surface. A light ray falls on it and it bounces off back to the same medium. So this is called reflection. And if you want to talk about the types of reflection, there are two. What are they? Regular reflection and irregular reflection. So now we are going to learn reflection in detail. So for that I have to consider a surface. So this is my surface. Okay. So to the surface, a ray is falling in. So the ray which falls onto the surface can be called it as incident ray. So now I am going to name it as IR. Look at it. This is my incident ray, the ray which falls onto the surface. And the point where it touches can be called it as point of incidence. POI, point of incidence. And now the ray is going to bounce off back to the same medium. So this ray can be called it as reflected ray or RR. And what about this dotted line? Oh, the imaginary line perpendicular to the surface can be called it as normal. And this can be represented with letter N. Clear? And now we are going to learn a few more things. So please pay attention throughout the class. So look at it. The angle between the incident ray and the normal can be called it as angle of incidence. Look at it. The angle between normal and incident ray. So this can be called it as angle of incidence. Clear? Similarly, we have to select a different color so that you will not get any kind of confusions. So look at it. The angle between reflected ray and the normal can be called it as angle of reflection. Clear? So this is the way that you need to understand it. So the angle between incident ray and the normal can be called it as angle of incidence, whereas angle between reflected ray and the normal can be called it as angle of reflection. Okay, so now we are going to learn two statements of laws of reflection. What is the law of reflection? Oh, so if reflection has to occur, it needs to obey a certain law. So this law can be called it as law of reflection. So in this law of reflection, we have two statements. So that's what we are going to learn next. See, what are the two statements here? The angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Oh, so we know that already, right? So let me mark it here. Okay, so here the angle between incident ray and the normal can be called it as angle of incidence, and the angle between reflected ray and the normal can be called it as angle of reflection. So if you take these two angles, they are equal. Oh, that's what the very first statement. The angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So this is the first statement of laws of reflection. And what about the second statement? Very easy. Look at it. Incident ray, reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. How? Let me tell you. So in this figure, we can see there is incident ray, reflected ray and the normal. Okay. So all lie in the same plane. So look at it. Incident ray, reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. Look at it. I have used incident ray, normal and reflected ray. Okay, at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. Which plane? This vertical plane. So I hope you are clear with the point. And now we are going to learn the types of reflection here. What is it exactly? We learned it already. Regular reflection and irregular reflection. But how they are different from one another? Let's learn together. So look at this one. Regular reflection happens from a very smooth surface. That's what the very important point that you need to understand. So it occurs on a smooth surface. And what about the image? The image formed will be of sharp nature. Okay, so it's going to be very clear and sharp. And what about the reflected rays? These are parallel, and example can be reflection on a plane mirror which creates a sharp image. But how is it possible? So let's learn it here. So when you look at this figure, you can see that there are 4 incident rays are considered. So these rays are striking on the surface, and look at this RRs, reflected rays. Oh, so these are parallel to each other, right? So that means if the reflected rays are parallel, it is going to create a very sharp and clear image. Why? Because it is striking on a very smooth surface. That is what the reason. Okay, so the surface is very smooth, and that is what the reason you can see that the reflected rays are parallel, and therefore it creates a very sharp image. And what about the next one? So in this one you can see that, oh, the surface itself is rough. Why? Because when you look at the surface itself, you can find that it is a rough one, right? It's not smooth. So the surface itself is rough. Okay, So here the incident rays are falling onto the surface, and look at the reflected rays here. Okay, reflected rays are not parallel, right? Yes, so reflected rays are not parallel. Why? Because these incident rays are striking on a rough surface here, and therefore what happens? The image is going to be blurry, or sometimes no image will be formed at all. Clear? So the reflected rays are not parallel. An example can be reflection on water, which creates an irregular shaped moon. So this is going to be an amazing example for irregular reflection. Clear? So you have to keep these in your minds. So regular reflection, sharp image; irregular reflection, blurry image, or sometimes no image at all. Clear? And if you talk about the surfaces, so here you can see that on regular reflection, here the surface is going to be very smooth, and in irregular reflection the surface is going to be rough. Clear with the point? Shall we move on to the next one? Now we are going to learn about images. So there are mainly two types of images. What are they? Real images and virtual images. Very important point. What about real images? Formed due to the actual convergence of light rays and can be seen on a screen. So if the light rays actually converge at a point, and if it creates an image to be seen on a screen, it can be called it as real image. Clear? And what about virtual image? This is not due to the actual convergence of light rays. Clear? So formed due to the apparent convergence of diverging light rays. You have to be very clear with the statement. So this is basically due to the apparent convergence of diverging light rays. Clear? So the actual convergence of light is not happening, and therefore you can see that this cannot be seen on a screen. So the image formed on a plane mirror is of virtual nature. Why? Because it cannot be taken on a screen. Clear with the point? So real images can be taken on a screen, whereas virtual images cannot be taken on a screen. Now we are going to talk about types of mirrors. Very simple one. So the mirrors are basically classified into two, as plane mirrors and spherical mirrors. So what about spherical mirrors? Spherical mirrors are of two types. What are they? Concave and convex. Okay, please take down concave and convex mirror. Clear with the point? So here we are going to learn image formed on a plane mirror. Very simple. See, what is it? It's nothing but if you raise your left hand, it shows as right hand, and if you raise your right hand, it shows as left hand. So this is nothing but our lateral inversion is. And object distance is equal to image distance. This has to be explained a bit more. Let this be your mirror. Okay, so this is our object. Okay, this is our image. And if you consider the distance between mirror and the object to be 5 meters, then you can say the distance between mirror and the image is also going to be 5 meters. Clear? So that means the object distance is equal to image distance. So now we are going to learn about spherical mirrors in detail. Spherical mirrors are of two types. What are they? Concave mirror and convex mirror. So concave mirror is known as converging mirror. You have to be very clear about this. Concave mirror is converging mirror. Therefore, this can be utilized to magnify certain objects. So for example, dental mirrors are concave in nature. Why? Because our tooth is very small. So if they want to see it large, then they have to use concave mirror. So the inner surface of the curved mirror is reflecting, and that is what the reason we call it as a concave mirror. So the inner part is reflecting. Okay, you have to be very clear with the statement. If the inner surface of the curved mirror's inner surface is reflecting here. So this is concave. Clear? So concave mirrors are converging. Okay, they are converging type of mirrors. And what about the next one? Diverging ones. So diverging means it is convex. Okay, so the outer surface of curved mirror is reflecting. Okay, very simple. If inner curved part is reflecting, you can say it as a concave mirror. If the outer surface of the curved mirror is reflecting, then you have to say it's a convex mirror. So the vigilance mirror placed on roads can be a great example of convex mirror. Clear with the point? Shall we move on to the next one? Now we are going to talk about refraction. Very, very simple. So the bending of path of light when the light ray moves from one medium to another can be called it as refraction. So for that we need to consider two media. Okay. So this is medium number 1 and this is medium number 2. Okay. So we have considered two different media here. Okay. So when light travels from one medium to another, okay, so that means light is changing its medium from one to another. So in this case, light is going to show a bending. Clear? So the bending of light when the light moves from one medium to another, and this can be called it as refraction. You can see it is traveling from one medium, and when it enters to a different medium, it shows a slight bending here. Right? So this can be called it as refraction. Clear with the point? So here you can find that the speed of light changes according to the medium. Done? So now we are going to learn lenses. Lenses are of two types. What are they? Concave lens and convex lens. Okay. So please understand the terms properly. Concave lens is diverging one. Okay, concave lenses diverging and convex is converging. Okay, so in case of mirrors, it's completely different. Concave is converging, convex is diverging. When it comes to the part of lenses, concave is diverging, convex is converging. Clear with it? And now we are going to talk about lenses in detail. So here we know that the diverging lens or the concave lens, which is used to correct myopia. What is myopia? Short sight. Short sight means nearby things are clear, but the distant things are blurry. Very, very important. Nearby things are clear, but distant things are blurry. Okay. So this is all about the correction of myopia. What about next one? Converging lens. So converging lens means it is convex. Okay. So this convex lens can be used to correct hypermetropia. What is hypermetropia? Long sight. Distant things are clear, but nearby things are blurry. Please understand. Nearby things are blurry. Distant objects are clear. Clear with the point? So this is the way that you need to understand the basic difference between myopia and hypermetropia. So if I have short sight, I have to use a concave lens. If I have a hypermetropia, then I have to use a convex lens. Clear with the point? Shall we move on to the next one? Yes. And now we are going to learn dispersion. What is dispersion? Very simple. So dispersion is the phenomenon responsible for rainbow formation. So when sunlight or white light passes through a prism, then it splits into 7 component colors, and this can be called it as dispersion. So when you consider a sky doesn't have any kind of prism, but instead of prism, we have water droplets. So these water droplets are going to act as prisms and make this phenomenon happen. And due to the dispersion, what it can make 7 component colors, and this creates rainbow. So now I'm going to demonstrate this dispersion with the help of a prism. So this is a glass prism, and here the white light enters into it and it splits into 7 different colors, and that is what the reason you can see a spectrum here, 7 colors. That means you can find VIBGYOR. Please write it down. VIBGYOR. What is VIBGYOR? This is a code for the colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. Okay, so in this way you can find 7 different colors. So this is the way that you need to understand dispersion. So when light enters into a prism, it splits into 7 different colors, and this phenomenon is known as dispersion, and this is responsible for the formation of rainbow. Clear? And now we are going to learn about Newton disk. Oh, what is it exactly? So Newton disk can find 7 different colors, right? But if I try to rotate it, then what happens? Oh, I can find it as white. Correct? Why? Because these 7 colors combined to get white color. Good, right? Yes. So when a Newton disk is rotated, it forms white color. So this is basically due to the combination of colors. Combination of 7 different colors make this particular white color to form. And this is a humble request from my side. Please try to make a small Newton disk at your home and just try to rotate it. You will find that white color for sure. Now we have come to the end of the session, and now we are going to summarize the points what we discussed today. We started with rectilinear propagation, object types, then we discussed reflection, mirror types, lenses, and finally dispersion. So that's all about today's class, and I hope everyone really liked it. And we'll see you next class with an amazing session similar to this. Have a nice day and goodbye everyone. Thank you so much.